Hi, I'm J.S.T and today's video is going to be focused on the iPad, specifically my top 5 favourite apps for the iPad. These are the apps that help improve my productivity as well as my efficiency when trying to use the iPad and its power. Me being an architecture student, I have certain use cases for it, particularly in good drawing apps and also note-taking for my lectures. 4 of these apps are free apps, whereas 1 of them are paid, but I think if you are someone who's passionate for architecture or is looking to do it for university, I think this one paid app will be the best one for your use cases. The first app for the iPad is called Sketchbook. This app is probably the best free drawing app that's out there right now. You have access to many different tools such as pens, pencils, paintbrush, even airbrushes. You also get this symmetry tool which allows you to basically create a line wherever you need it, and then you'll have a symmetrical drawing on one side, so you don't need to do any copy and pasting or anything like that. You also have access to the rulers, and although this is pretty standard, but in my opinion, it's probably one of the best in terms of controllability. You get the standard straight rulers, you get the curved rulers, you get even like a circle ruler, so you can draw like a circle to how you want it. You also get access to layers, and there's no limit on these layers as well. You can have as many as your iPad can handle. You can do shapes, you can move around your images, you can add pictures to it. You even have a lasso tool as well, so if you want to highlight certain elements and make changes, you can do that. You've got text as well. You can create a time lapse of your creation if you want to show it off to work. So overall, it's a really good app, and the best thing about it, it is completely free. And I know there are these apps out there that are free and they require like a one-off payment of like £5 or a £4 monthly subscription. This app is completely free, and if you do want to pay for some premium editions, which will include some extra tools and colour palettes, then you're already looking at £2, and that's a one-off fee. So in my opinion, if you are someone who's a beginner trying to do art or creative stuff, then this is the best app to go for, especially if you're starting out. It's the app that I honestly went for because I didn't want to spend £10 on Procreate if it was just going to be like a hobby of mine. And even today, alongside with my other apps, I still use this to date. My second app recommendation is an app called Adobe Scan. This app does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a scanning app for your iPad or even your phone, and it allows you to scan in all your drawings, documents, even your ID, photos. It can scan in anything. And in my opinion, it's proven to be really reliable and really handy in a pinch. So like if I'm on the train, for example, I've completed one of my works on paper and I really need it to be sent over as soon as possible, I can just pull out my iPad, scan it in, get it sent over email, and then it's done. It's really quick and easy. It doesn't require a subscription, it only requires your Adobe account. If you have an Adobe account, all you have to do is log in and then you should be good to go. Even if you don't have an account, you will still be able to scan documents, so it's not paid locked to scanning. But if you want some like extra features to do with like editing, you can pay for it. But in my opinion, what I end up doing is I just scan in the work, I export it straight to photos or files, and I edit it straight on my laptop. So this is an app I would highly recommend for anyone who's looking to do drawings. It's a good app to have on the side. Now, app number 3, you all are going to need a good camera app, and you may be wondering about just using your phone's standard camera app, and I would just say no to that, because the level of customization you can get with other apps which are completely free, I think you should just go for those, because especially if you're someone who's into photography, you will get better use cases out of these apps. I have 2 camera apps to talk about for this one. So let's talk about the Blackmagic camera app first. This, when opened up for the first time, can seem a lot more confusing, especially if you're just coming from the standard iPhone or iPad camera app. But just to put it simply, it gives you a lot more control and playability. You can change your lenses, You can easily see your exact FPS that's being recorded at, your shutter speed, ISO, you've got the amount of light coming in, the tint, and obviously the quality of the camera all at the top there. And I mean, if you don't need it, just don't look at it, honestly. You've even got your time as well, so your time of how long your video has been recorded for. You've got this little graph here. This graph is basically showing you, I mean, you've got this little graph down here, which is kind of like the colors that's being seen, what the lens is actually seeing. So even I personally find all this a little bit too complicated, but the actual quality and the customization is what I love about this app. And the biggest thing is seeing exactly how much storage and time I have left to record with my certain changes. If I change it, for example, to HD and I do HD recording with 30 FPS, you'll notice that I'm going to get more time added on. So it is a really good kind of UI to have, especially for someone who vlogs a lot. You want to know exactly how much you have, you want to know exactly how much time you have left to record. You also even get the sound levels as well. Now, compared to the other app, these ones are a little better. You also have the sound levels as well. And what I like about this one is that you get 2 bars as well, one for each speaker. So you know exactly that you're not only just recording audio, but you're recording stereo audio as well. So it can be really good for when you post, it can be really good when you start editing it and putting it together, because it will actually give you better audio quality. Then you get even more features on the side here, like your autofocus, your exposure, zoom, so kind of standard stuff. And you can even see like a preview of exactly the settings, the lens data, everything is that you have for the camera. And then you can even change it interior, exterior, day and night, so it helps the camera to record the correct shot in the correct scenario. So yeah, I would honestly get this app, play around with it. If you like it, you'll find it very. So yeah, I would honestly get this app, try it out. If you don't like it, then we'll get into the next app, which I think is a lot more better for beginners. But yeah, it is a lot more of a complex app, and I think to note between both of these apps is that all the footage is saved onto the app. It doesn't go straight to photos or files. So once you do finish your recording, you have to make sure you export them to your files. Now, the second camera app I want to talk about is the brand new Final Cut camera app. This is a camera app that was just released roughly a month ago now from when I'm recording this, and in my opinion this is a really good app as well. As you can see, the UI is very familiar. If you're coming from the standard camera app, you'll recognize the toggles and stuff, you'll recognize the feel of it, and in my opinion it is a much better app to use. You have your standard record button down there. You've got your 2 toggles here for your different millimeters of lenses. What I like and dislike about this camera is its zoom in feature. So as you can see here, you've got a toggle right here, and if you press it, this little slider shows up. You're going to move it left or right, and that kind of zooms in. And it kind of does that old style camera zoom, when you just kind of press a button on those old style cameras and it would just zoom in and out like very slowly. It's quite good for like a movie effect, and it's definitely something I would use. But it's just different, that's all. You can't kind of change it and do it the older way. It's just something you're going to have to get used to when you're using it. Once again, here you can see at the top left, you've got your time for how long you have left to record with the current settings. It's a bit easier here because it's quite simple. And then all the way on the far right, you have your noise level. So once again, you can detect your stereo audio, but you got to be careful because depending on what mics you plug in and stuff, you will only end up seeing 1 bar. So just keep an eye on the to confirm. If you want stereo audio, you have to make sure you've got the right mics for that, because that will change depending on what mic you have. Now up here you can see kind of the settings for the actual recording. Now if you click on here, you will see now it opens up into 4 different options. So this first one here, this is basically the format of the camera quality. So I would recommend keeping it on this one, HEVC, mainly because it's the smallest file size, and in my opinion I don't do much photo editing. I do a little bit, but not to the extent that I need ProRes or raw video recording. So for me this is fine. The second toggle we have here is SDR or HDR, and for me personally I like to keep it on SDR. I know there's no storage change, but for me and for YouTube It's much easier just doing SDR content, as HDR content is typically takes a lot more time to render and edit down, so I'm quite happy with using SDR. And then the next two toggles are quite familiar, which is just your quality of the video and the FPS, and these can be done the same. And as you can see, changing through these toggles will change the time down there. So if we're doing a 720p at 24 FPS, 38 hours of recording, jumping straight up to 4K 60, we're only going to get an hour, so you can tell that I've used up all my storage there. But I mean, what's nice is you actually get to tell exactly how much time you got left, and yeah, so it is pretty good in that sense. You even got your built-in settings, so you can change them all around. So I know I've talked a lot about the camera app, but I am quite a camera guy, and for me it's very important to have a really good camera app. A lot of the other apps can be replaced quite easily by the free Apple apps, but for me these two free camera apps can really help you out a lot. I know, disclaimer, these two apps aren't currently updated for iPadOS. Even though they're not, you have that zoom in feature and turning, so although it does look a bit pixelated, the actual feel and what you get from the camera app is still the same. It's just the app is not fully built for iPadOS. But for me, using Final Cut and using Blackmagic, although the pixel clarity isn't there, you still get the best use case out of these apps. So app number 4, we have GoodNotes. Now I realized that GoodNotes isn't actually a free app, you have to pay for it, and I now realize that it's actually subscription based. But when I got it a couple of years ago, it was free, or I think it was very cheap, but now it has changed. But I would highly recommend getting a very good note-taking app. I was deciding between whether to keep this app on the tier list or to put the standard Apple Notes app. But I think the features and the customization that you can get with this app is much better. So first off, you get to create, instead of having folders, like you do on the notes, you actually create these books and notebooks. So it feels a lot more kind of personal, customizable. And I'm being a bit like a con artist here, but honestly, I just prefer to save a little bit of money, and I don't think it's that big of a deal anyway. Plus, I already paid for the app before. I don't see why I have to go through it all and pay for it again. It's just, to me, it doesn't make any sense. If I paid for it, I've got it. So getting into the apps themselves, as you can see up the top here, we have our tabs where we can switch through quickly our 2 notebooks or 3, or however many notebooks you have. And this is with the new update, but I do quite like this, is we have these 3 toggles in the middle. We've got this pencil, we've got this keyboard, and we've got the microphone. So the pencil is basically like your hand drawing notes. So you click that, you get your pencil, and you can hand draw notes quite easily. Then you've got the keyboard icon, so clicking that will pop up the keyboard, or if you're using the Magic Keyboard or any other keyboard accessories, will allow you to type. And what's nice is, as you're typing, the letters actually follow the line or the templates that you have. So you can see here I've got line paper, and as I'm typing, they actually kind of follow the line. Sometimes not all the time, not accurately, but it's nice in the sense that we have something like that, so it makes it a little bit easier than we'd have to keep touching it up all the time. We have this third toggle here, the microphone, and what it does, it records what it hears, and as you're writing it, it will kind of keep that in memory, and then once it's finished, you can then play it back, and it will show you exactly what you've written and exactly what they said. So it's very good if you realise you've gotten lost in the middle of a lecture or in a meeting, and you're just trying to work out what did they say. You can go back and play the recording, and then you can realise exactly where you messed up. Now for me, because I have the previous version, I only get 20 minutes of recording. If you don't want to use that, put your phone, put it on the table and record it, and then just carry on making your notes, and then just try and like backtrack. This is a lot more easier because it's built in, it's like 2-in-1, so you know exactly what point you're at. But I do find that having that recording as well is still better than having nothing. You also get more options to, like I said, changing templates. So you can have a dark background, which is what I typically do because it's easier on the eyes. Or you can have white, you can have that cream, warm finish. And there's a bunch of different templates you can pick with different lines and stuff, and then you can pay for some of them as well if you want a particular one, so you don't have to go through the hassle of kind of customizing your own template. And These are like some of the few reasons what makes it better from the Notes app, because the Notes app is just a plain canvas really. For me personally, I use this with the pencil. I never really use it with the keyboard, because if I'm typing or something, I'm doing it on my laptop and I'm using like Word or something. But simply enough, this app was built for the Apple Pencil. The amount of features that you get for it now, the amount of quality of life features you get, especially when you're using an Apple Pencil, is really good. Like having the palm rejection, the lasso tool, stickers, images, ruler, and you even get a laser pointer. So if you're trying to demonstrate this to someone, you can kind of point it out or something on a FaceTime call. So it is a really well designed app. I just wish now I didn't have to pay more for the latest version. Now I have a quick honorable mention. This app is completely free, like some of the others, and the features that it gives you can be really helpful, especially if you're in a tight situation with your writing and stuff. And this is ChatGPT. We have seen that a lot of app developers are integrating AI into pretty much every aspect of life and all the apps and everything, but this app in particular is proven to be quite useful for me, especially when I'm in a tight pinch. I don't know what title to do, I don't know how to summarize something, I don't really understand a question. I just quickly go on ChatGPT, ask him the question, and I just get the answer straight away. Simple. A lot of people would consider it kind of cheating, especially if you are a student, but the way I see it, you just got to use it right. I don't use it to cheat or anything, I use it as a tool to help me improve my learning and understanding a lot quicker. And yeah, like I've said, it's a completely free app, works really well, and it's a very good side app, and it's better than spending, I think it was like £70 odd or something for Grammarly, which I think is a bit absurd now. The number one app in this video is Morpholio Trace. This is the big paid app I mentioned at the start, but if you are an artist, and especially if you're an architect or a trainee, this is the absolute best app for your iPad. Like, I can't really fault too much about this app. It gives you access to so many different tools which are so useful if you're an architect and you need these tools. So to talk about its features, I'm in a drawing as you can see here. So if we look around the UI for a bit, in the top left we have a series of toggles here. So our first one's just to go back. We have this toggle here, which is kind of like a focus and like a preview, so you can preview different drawings and layers through there. Then we have this little wrench here. Clicking on that, it's all your setups and stuff. So we have our scale. Now this is, I think this is probably the best thing, is the fact that we have a scale built into the app. If you are someone who knows exactly what the scale is of a project and you're doing plans and stuff, you can set your scale, you get your units right, you can even show a grid. It allows you to measure through the app exactly how long a wall is or how much space you have on the plan. So it means that even when you print it the right size, everything will be to scale. So that is probably the biggest selling feature of this app. Then obviously we got video, we got some more preferences that we can change. Then we have our lasso tool, so you can like highlight certain elements to change those specifically. And then this is kind of like your scale toggle, so you input there and then you put your scale in. Now coming into these grey toggles, now these are like your tools for when you're actually drawing. So we've got our first one here, that's view and AR. So typically what this would be, you would set this up by kind of scanning out the room or scanning out the area you're in, and then you can press that toggle and it will put your drawing in that room. So the next thing we have, which is this rectangle here. So clicking on this icon here, it brings up this little icon, so you can like drop it in, and I'm assuming it probably uses AI or something, or some smart scanning to look and see exactly where the lines are, and then you can fill them in very easily, and it's easy customizable. Next tool we have, which is perspective lines. So this is what you kind of say on the tin, you can kind of set them up in the perspective you need, and then it makes it easier to draw like 3D perspective based images when you know exactly the perspective and the line it's going through. So it's really, really good. Next we have is the ruler, so pretty standard. And then this, I think, is another very good feature to have in an app like this. So these are just stencils, and it is exactly what you think they are. So these are literally just resizable stencils that you can place anywhere. You fill them in and it's that exact shape or object you're trying to create. They can be flipped and filled, and you can change the contrast of them to match, to help you see them in their drawings. And then if you could see here, this little settings icon has appeared. So clicking this, you have access to a wide variety of different stencils. So the most common one I think we will all be using is these people ones. It saves so much time. Like, instead of having to draw each figure out or something, or if you don't want to draw the standard one with the triangle and the circle and stuff, you can actually get detailed people, have them scaled exactly to how they need to be for the drawing themselves, and then just fill them in, and then you're done. And not only people, but you even get wall fillings as well. Like, for me personally, I find when I have to do soil for my sections to be quite annoying to do, because it's diagonal lines all the time. So this is just a quick stencil, and you can plant them down, fill them in, and then that's your soil representation done. You get your diagrams as well. You can even do cars, so it's I'm kind of lost for words here, because it is just a really good feature. Like, you won't know until you try it, but it is probably the best feature on this and probably this scale. And I know I haven't talked about kind of the layers and stuff and the pens and pencils, but I mean, I think hopefully I've proven enough to you guys that this app is just really good, and it is the one to get if you are looking for a really good drawing app, and especially if you're an architect, this is the app to go for. Alright, that just about does it for my top 5 favorite apps. Let me know in the comments what are your top 5 favorite apps, and if you are going to use any of these, please let me know. Also, please leave a like and subscribe. That really helps to grow this channel. Thank you all, and I'll see you all in the next one. See ya.